The Bengals are a team that's built its entire brand around one man, Joe Burrow. He's the savior, the hero, the guy who strutted into Cincinnati with that icy confidence and gave fans something they hadn't had in decades: hope. But here's the truth the front office is too scared to say out loud. Joe Burrow's body has become the Bengals' biggest liability. Torn ACL, sprained MCL calf strain, and now turf toe. So the Bengals find themselves staring down the barrel of an uncomfortable reality. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. Burrow might be their heart, but what good is a heart if it keeps flatlining? Enter Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur isn't just another college prospect. He's a phenomenon. The son of Deion Primetime Sanders, raised in swagger, sharpened in pressure, and molded for the spotlight. This isn't some wide-eyed kid hoping to prove he belongs. This is a quarterback who already behaves like a pro, markets like a mogul, and commands attention like a rock star. We're talking about a player whose Nike launch moved $100 million in merchandise. A player who's on magazine covers, trending on TikTok, and selling out arenas before he's even taken an NFL snap. For Cincinnati, Shedeur is more than a backup plan. He's an empire waiting to be claimed. But let's not pretend this is a simple move. No. Bringing Shedeur to Cincinnati isn't like upgrading your phone. It's like trading your spouse while they're sitting across the dinner table. It's messy. It's emotional. It could tear the house apart. Imagine that locker room. Burrow, the man who bled for this team, who won their respect, suddenly overshadowed by the new kid with the bigger spotlight. Imagine Jamar Chase, Burrow's college running mate, an NFL partner in crime, asked to catch passes from someone else. That's not just a shift, it's a fracture. And fractures in NFL locker rooms, they spread fast. Now let's talk about risk. Because Shedeur may be the hottest name in football, but he's still untested at the NFL level. We've seen this movie before. College phenoms who look unstoppable on Saturdays and then crash hard on Sundays. Ask Sam Darnold. Ask Zach Wilson. Ask Josh Rosen. The NFL isn't a proving ground. It's a meat grinder. Throw Shedeur in too early, behind an offensive line that's let Burrow take beating after beating, and you risk turning a golden prospect into a broken promise. Fans are ruthless. The media even more so. One bad game, one ugly interception, and the narrative shifts from future legend to overhyped bust. The Bengals know that. The question is, do they care? Because here's the thing. The upside is irresistible. Picture Shedeur in Bengals stripes. Primetime's kid running onto field in Cincinnati. The crowd split between cheers and gasps. First drive, he hits Chase for a 40-yard bomb. Suddenly, the doubt fades. Suddenly, the Bengals aren't just relevant. They're a phenomenon. It's not just about football. It's about branding, about being the epicenter of the NFL universe. Cleveland wants Shedeur for salvation. Baltimore wants him for innovation. New Orleans wants him for cultural legacy. But Cincinnati? Cincinnati wants him for power. To dominate headlines, to crush rivals, to prove they're more than Burrow's brittle toe. And that's why the Bengals are seriously considering this move. Because it's not just about winning games. It's about controlling the future. Now let's look at the AFC North, because context is everything. The Ravens have Lamar Jackson, an MVP with gas left in the tank. The Steelers have Mike Tomlin, a man who refuses to lose no matter who's under center. The Browns are clinging to relevance with shaky quarterback play and desperate pleas for Sanders' loyalty. Cincinnati can't afford to fall behind. They're in the toughest division in football. Standing still is death. Making bold moves is survival. And Shedeur? He's the boldest move of them all. But let's not forget the fans, because this decision isn't happening in a vacuum. Cincinnati is tearing itself apart over this rumor. One side screams, "Don't you dare replace Burrow. He saved us. He is us." These fans would rather ride or die with their golden boy than flirt with shiny new toy. To them, loyalty matters more than logic. The other side shouts back, "Burrow can't stay healthy. We can't waste this roster." Sanders is the future. Get him now. These fans see no point in sinking with a ship they know is leaking. It's not just a debate. It's a civil war. And the Bengals front office is right in the middle. Knowing whichever side they pick, they'll alienate thousands. Meanwhile, the rest of the league is circling like vultures. Baltimore is terrified. They've spent months whispering to Shedeur, pitching him on a revolutionary offense with Lamar Jackson. If Cincinnati swoops in, they lose not just a player, but their entire vision. Cleveland is panicking. Losing Shedeur to anyone is bad enough, but to Cincinnati, to a division rival they'd face twice a year, that's a nightmare scenario. New Orleans, with its cultural pitch of legacy and love, would see its dream evaporate in real time. So, if the Bengals pull this off, they don't just secure a quarterback. They humiliate 3 franchises at once. And humiliation in the NFL is worth almost as much as a Lombardi trophy. And then there's Shedeur himself. Through all of this chaos, he hasn't said a word. No press conference. No cryptic tweet. Not even a slip from his camp. Just silence. And that silence, that's control. Every day he doesn't speak, the rumors grow, the offers swell, the leverage tilts further in his favor. He's not chasing the NFL. The NFL is chasing him. And that's the real power in this story. So what does it all mean? It means the Bengals are standing at a crossroads. They can stick with Burrow, bet on his health, and pray their window doesn't slam shut. Or they can gamble everything on Shedeur Sanders, a rookie who could either redefine football in Cincinnati or break them apart completely. It's not just a football decision. It's a gamble with identity, loyalty, and legacy. And that's why this story has the league in shock. Because no matter what happens, the Bengals can't walk away clean. So let's end with a question. If you're Cincinnati, what do? Do you stay loyal to Burrow, your golden boy with the glass body, or roll the dice on Sanders, the prodigy with the world at his feet? That's not just a front office decision. That's a history-defining move. And here's where I throw it to you. What side are you on? Team Burrow or Team Sanders? Drop your take in the comments. And if you love following the kind of chaos where sports collide with culture, where rookies hold franchises hostage, and where the NFL feels more like a reality show than a league, make sure to subscribe. Because the Shedeur Sanders saga isn't slowing down. And trust me, the next chapter, it's going to make this one look tame. Cincinnati hasn't always been a hotbed of football royalty. For decades, the Bengals were the punchline, the Bungles, the team you circled on the schedule as an easy W. Then Joe Burrow walked in. Suddenly, the narrative flipped. Suddenly, Cincinnati wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Burrow took them to a Super Bowl, turned Jamar Chase into a household name, and for the first time in forever, Bengals fans dared to dream. But football has a way of yanking hope away just when you think you've secured it. Burrow's body hasn't kept pace with his talent. Torn ligaments, strains, sprains, now turf toe, an injury that sounds harmless until you realize quarterbacks live and die on their ability to plant and push off. Turf toe isn't just pain, it's paralysis. And for Cincinnati, it's panic. Because here's the brutal truth. You can't win if your quarterback can't stand. That's why Shedeur Sanders' name is being whispered like some kind of forbidden spell. He's not just the next man up. He's the golden ticket. He's young, electric, marketable. He's a quarterback who makes defenses tremble and merchandise fly off shelves. More importantly, he's healthy. This isn't just about arm strength or footwork. It's about availability. The Bengals have a roster built to win now. Chase, Higgins, Mixon, a defense that can hang with anyone. They can't afford to waste years waiting for Burrow to heal, only to watch him limp off again. Shedeur represents the one thing Burrow can't, certainty. But here's where it gets messy, loyalty. Burrow isn't just a quarterback. He's an icon. He's a guy who pulled Cincinnati out of irrelevance, who lit cigars after playoff wins, who made a city believe. Replacing him, or even considering replacing him, feels like betrayal. It's the kind of decision that scars a fan base. Picture this. Burrow walks into the locker room, looks around, and sees Shedeur suiting up. What does that do to a team's chemistry? What does that do to trust? Jamar Chase, Burrow's college brother in arms, will be caught in the middle, Veterans who rally behind Burrow through pain and struggle would feel abandoned. That's not just a football issue. That's a cultural implosion waiting to happen. And yet, the other side of the coin is just as haunting. What happens if the Bengals stay loyal to Burrow, only to watch him crumble again? What happens if they waste a championship-caliber roster out of sentimentality? That's the nightmare that keeps the front office awake at night. Now, let's talk about Shedeur, because this kid is not your average rookie prospect. He's got poise. He's got pedigree. He's got presence. He walks onto a field like he owns it, and half the time, he does. He's not intimidated by pressure. He thrives in it. That's something you can't teach. And then there's the off-field empire. Shedeur isn't just a quarterback. He's a brand. His Nike merch sales hit $100 million like it was nothing. He's a crossover figure, someone who appeals to die-hard football junkies and casual fans alike. In an NFL where marketing is almost as important as playbooks, that's invaluable. For Cincinnati, signing Shedeur doesn't just mean touchdowns. It means headlines. It means jersey sales. It means becoming the epicenter of NFL culture. And for a franchise that spent decades in the shadows, that's intoxicating. Let's zoom out to the AFC North, because this isn't happening in a vacuum. The Ravens are circling. They're pitching Shedeur on joining Lamar Jackson to form a revolutionary two-quarterback system, something the league has never seen before. The Browns are begging him to stay, terrified that losing him will plunge him back into the abyss. The Steelers? Well, the Steelers are always lurking, steady as a rock, waiting to pounce on division weakness. If Cincinnati sits still, they risk falling behind. If they act boldly, if they make Shedeur theirs, they not only secure their future, but cripple their rivals in the process. Imagine Cleveland fans watching Sanders torch them twice a year in orange and black. That's not just victory. That's humiliation. And then there's a fan base. Oh boy, the fans. On one side, you got the loyalists, the ones who wear Burrow jerseys like armor, who still watch his Super Bowl highlights on loop, who scream, "Who dey?" until their voices crack. To them, replacing Burrow is unthinkable. He's family. You don't trade family. On the other side, you've got the pragmatists, the ones who see the injuries, the wasted seasons, the fragile body. They're saying, this roster is too good to waste. Burrow's heart is big, but his body isn't. It's time for Shedeur. It's not just a debate. It's a civil war. And whichever way the Bengals go, they're going to alienate half of their own city. But let's not pretend this is only about Cincinnati. The NFL itself is watching, trembling, calculating. If the Bengals land Shedeur, the rookie quarterback market changes forever. No longer will young players be forced to prove it before commanding big deals. Sanders will have shown that branding, leverage, and hype are enough to dictate terms. That terrifies owners, because once one player breaks the mold, the rest follow. And Shedeur, he's the perfect storm. The talent, the swagger, the marketing machine, the legacy. He's the kind of player who bends a league around him. And the Bengals are crazy enough to grab him and ride the storm. Now imagine the optics. Week 1, Shedeur jogs out in orange and black. Burrow, sidelined again, claps from the bench. The crowd is torn, half cheering, half booing, all buzzing. The first drive, Shedeur threads a pass to Chase, who takes it 50 yards to the house. The stadium erupts. The cameras flash. Suddenly, the whispers stop. Suddenly, it doesn't matter what Burrow did in the past, because the future just arrived. That's the dream scenario. That's the fantasy keeping Cincinnati awake. But here's the nightmare. Shedeur struggles. He throws picks. He gets rattled by defenses that move twice as fast as anything he's seen. The locker room fractures. Fans turn on him. Burrow, simmering on the sideline, watches the whole thing implode. That's the risk. And in the NFL, risks don't just cost games, they cost legacies. So what does Shedeur want? That's the million-dollar question. Does he want to be the loyal savior in Cleveland, the innovator in Baltimore, the cultural legend in New Orleans? Or does he want to be the disruptor in Cincinnati? The kid who dethroned Burrow, hijacked the AFC North, and turned the NFL on its head? Whatever choice he makes, it's history. It's immortality. And that's why his silence is so powerful. He doesn't need to speak. He doesn't need to beg. He's letting the world beg him. And so, here we are, the Bengals, balanced on the edge of destiny. The fans, divided like never before. The league, watching with wide eyes. And Shedeur Sanders, sitting quietly at the center of it all, holding the keys to the future. Will Cincinnati pull the trigger? Will they risk everything, loyalty, culture, trust, for a shot at the most electrifying rookie prospect of the modern era? Or will they cling to Burrow, praying his body holds up long enough to deliver the Lombardi they've been chasing? That's not just a football question. That's a Shakespearean drama. That's legacy. That's chaos. Almost like Cincinnati is betraying the man who dragged them to a Super Bowl, the man who gave them swagger when no one else would. Joe Burrow didn't just throw touchdowns. He rewrote Cincinnati's identity. He was a cool guy quarterback, the cigar-smoking, ice-in-his-veins assassin who made the Bengals relevant again. And yet, even legends bleed. And Burrow? He's been bleeding for years. Torn ACL, damaged wrist, nagging calf, now turf toe, an injury so small a name, yet so devastating in practice. Because without your big toe, you're not planting, you're not throwing, you're not escaping that 300-pound lineman barreling toward you. Fans love Burrow, but fans aren't blind. They've seen him limp off one too many times. They've seen promising seasons collapse because a man they called Joey BR couldn't stand upright. So when whispers of Shedeur Sanders land in Cincinnati, it's not just talk, it's temptation. Now, let's put Sanders under the spotlight, because he's not just another college kid with inflated hype. He's a phenomenon. He's a quarterback who walks into a room like he's already been there. A player whose throws slice through defenses with surgical precision. A leader who has charisma baked into his DNA, literally, as the son of Deion Sanders. But Shedeur isn't just inheriting a name. He's building one. He's got the confidence, the calm, and the kind of cultural footprint most rookies can only dream of. The kid dropped a Nike shirt and pulled in $100 million in hours. Hours. You know who does that? Icons. And Cincinnati knows it. This isn't just about football. This is about business, branding, the kind of stardom that puts a city on the map. For decades, Cincinnati has been the overlooked middle child of the NFL. Not flashy like Dallas, not historic like Green Bay, not glamorous like Los Angeles. Just Cincinnati. Hard-working, overlooked, waiting for respect. Imagine Shedeur walking in and instantly flipping that narrative. Imagine Cincinnati, the Bengals of old, suddenly becoming the epicenter of football culture. That's the sales pitch. That's the fantasy. But here's the conflict. Burrow versus Shedeur isn't just about skill. It's about identity. Burrow is grit. He's the blue-collar superstar. The underdog from Ohio who fought his way to the top. His brand is toughness. Sanders? He's flash. He's glitz. He's social media. Music videos, custom cleats. Headlines written before he even steps on the field. The Bengals have to ask themselves, who do we want to be? The scrappy fighters clawing their way to respect, or the flashy disruptors rewriting the game on their own terms? It's not just a roster decision. It's a philosophical one. And then there's the AFC North. Oh, this is where it gets delicious. The Browns? Terrified. Losing Shedeur to Cincinnati wouldn't just sting. It would bury them. Imagine, they finally snagged the quarterback of the future, only to watch him cross the state line and torch them twice a year in stripes. Cleveland fans are already on edge. This would break them. The Ravens? They're pitching Shedeur on the wildest offensive idea we've seen. A dual quarterback system with Lamar Jackson. Innovation, speed, chaos. If Shedeur bites, Baltimore becomes unstoppable. The Steelers? They're quiet, steady, the tortoise in this division's race. They don't need Shedeur, but they'd love to watch the Browns and Bengals implode fighting over him. That's Pittsburgh style. Stay calm, stay consistent, and let rivals self-destruct. So for Cincinnati, this isn't just about upgrading. It's about survival. If they don't move now, one of their rivals will. And the AFC North will belong to someone else for the next decade. Now, Imagine the Bengals actually pulling the trigger. The press conference. Flashbulbs popping. The team owner saying, "Today, we begin a new era in Cincinnati." Shedeur walks out in orange and black, smiling like he's been here forever. The room shakes. Fans lose their minds. ESPN runs a clip on loop. Burrow? He's not even there. Maybe he's rehabbing, maybe he's stewing. But suddenly, his era feels like the past tense. Game day comes. Burrow's in street clothes, headset on. Shedeur jogs out, calm, collected, with the weight of a franchise on his shoulders. The crowd is buzzing, not cheering, not booing, just buzzing like a hive on the verge of chaos. First snap, first throw. It's not even a touchdown. It's a clean, sharp 12-yard out to Jamar Chase. But the sound? Deafening. Because in that moment, the crowd realizes this kid belongs. That's the dream. But the nightmare? Just as real. What if Sanders struggles? What if he throws 3 picks in his debut, looks rattled by NFL defenses, and suddenly fans are screaming to bring Burrow back? What if the locker room fractures? Half the guys loyal to Burrow, half swept up in the Sanders hype. What if Chase, Burrow's college brother, resents the change? Cincinnati isn't just gambling with a player. They're gambling with the very soul of their team. And yet, isn't that the NFL? Isn't it always about rolling the dice on greatness? Think about it. Brady was a gamble. Mahomes was a gamble. Even Burrow, with his college injuries, was a gamble. Every dynasty starts with a leap of faith. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is a leap staring Cincinnati in the face. Yes, it could crash and burn. Yes, it could alienate fans, fracture the locker room, and turn the Bengals into a cautionary tale. But what if it works? What if Shedeur is the one? What if Cincinnati not only survives Burrow's injuries, but thrives because of Sanders' youth, health, and star power? What if this is a move that makes them unstoppable? That's why people are whispering. That's why fans are arguing online. That's why the NFL is holding its breath. Because this isn't just about Shedeur Sanders. This is about the future of football. About whether loyalty matters more than opportunity, whether stability trumps ambition, whether Cincinnati wants to play it safe or chase immortality. So, let me throw it back to you. If you're in that front office, what do? Do you stick with Burrow, the wounded king who once saved you, or crown Sanders, the prince who could take you even higher? That's the million-dollar question. Or should I say, the $275 million won. And trust me, whatever the Bengals decide, it won't just define their franchise. It'll define the league. If you want to keep riding this roller coaster, where sports collide with culture, where rookies hold teams hostage, and where the NFL feels more like a Shakespearean play than a game, then you already know what to do. Hit subscribe, drop a comment, and tell me, Burrow or Sanders? Because this isn't just football anymore. It's history in the making. And the ending? We're all waiting to see who writes it.